Just check my notes. It still makes sense. Okay, who should we let in? Admit. Okay, well, that's loading. Let's see what I wrote here.
Hello, Rabbi.
Hello, Shelley. How are you?
Thank you. What time is the Megillah being read Monday evening, please?
6:25.
6:25. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Mara 6:15. But yeah, roughly we'll start at 6:25. Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. Thanks.
Although Jewish Mean Time probably won't start till
Well, I know that, but I'll
yeah.
be for 6:25. I've got to get a taxi. Monday, 6:25. Yeah.
Okay. Just wait through a few more minutes.
Tuesday, is it just the one reading in the morning or?
Uh, yeah, I'll send an email out, but there'll be the Tuesday, there'll be one at midday, there'll be one early in the morning, like 7:30, and there'll be one at 2:30.
Sorry, three of them.
There'll be three on the Tuesday, yeah.
Let's see, 12 noon and 3 p.m. you said?
2:30,
2:30, sorry.
yeah. Although the 2:30 one, there'll be kids running around, so probably midday is the safest one.
Quieter one, yeah. Yeah. 7:30, a little early for me.
Yeah, 7:30, that's for the Chakras guys, for the Minion men.
Hello.
Hello, Lindsay.
We usually go from the other, college.
Hi.
We'll just wait a minute and then we'll start. Okay, I'm just checking my notes here. Yeah, 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 boom, 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 dee, 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 dee. Oh yeah, pass. If you can get one more hummus for me, that'd be handy.
Do you want to go with Corin or
I don't mind.
it doesn't matter?
I don't discriminate.
All right.
The only one I don't like is the Hertz because it's so old. The commentary is yeah, old school. I think they use Shimshon.
That's different, or is that the same? It's different from what we've got.
Yeah, that's the old. That's the old one.
Right.
The what the shelf underneath is the art scroll on the left, on the right.
No, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
More advanced copies have got pictures.
Right. Oh, Nick. Hello, Nick. Wow, we're honoured. Let me show you. Let me show you. We'll show you who we've got in the room here.
Now, Mr. Pitch.
Yeah, let me swap my video around. So we've got Reb. We've got Reb Hunter. We've got Gary. We've got Danny. Just so you know who's joining. Yeah, we are learning tonight in memory of Harvey Frankel.
Oh,
Blessed memory. This is his English Yorkshire today. His Hebrew was last week. So the learning tonight should be for Elias Hanashama, that his soul should, we'll push it up a little bit higher up in heaven. Like a Hershel Ephraim Ben Lommel. Chaim.
Whiskey to another time.
Yeah, we've got Glen Murray here. Don't know what you've got at home.
Can give him water to have a time.
Nah, Harvey like whiskey.
Yeah, he likes a whiskey, right?
Yeah, but it
Nice.
doesn't right now.
Okay,
Glenn
we're
Murray
gonna get
to be
cracking. So,
centre forward for Brighton.
Tetzaveh basically discusses the high priest's clothes and also for 7 days before the temple was consecrated, there was a special ceremony where every day they would offer a bull and 2 rams. And also we have the mitzvah, the end of the parsha tells us that every day in the Mishkan and also in the later in the temple, they offered a sheep in the morning and a sheep in the afternoon. And that's why we daven shacharis in the morning and mincha in the afternoon to represent the sheep in the morning and the sheep in the afternoon. Because now we can't offer them anymore because we don't have a temple, so we can't do these sacrifices. So instead we daven shacharis and mincha. Yeah. Mariv, why we pray Mariv is the fats of the various offerings were burnt through the night. So to commemorate the fats burning, or the fats of the animals, we daven Mariv. Mariv wasn't always collectively accepted by the Jewish people. It was an optional prayer. Yeah, it was like an optional service. But over time, it became part of the setup that we daven 3 times a day.
Can I just ask something? So basically, if you're Sephardi, you daven instead of Mariv, you daven Arbit.
Arvit, yeah.
So Arbit.
Yeah.
Is that from the same root?
Yeah.
Mariv, Arbit.
Mariv.
Even though they sound different.
Yeah.
I mean, they sound different. They're from the same.
Yeah. Hamariv. Are we saying the actual first? I think it's the first blessing of the evening of Mariv. We say Hamariv. Hamariv, Aravim. Yeah, that God closes the night, so to speak. So Erev, God causes the night to become dark. Yeah. So you can either go for Mariv or Arvit, which is basically the same. It's the same. It's the same meaning. Yeah. Okay. So Tetzaveh, whichever Chumash you're using, as I mentioned to earlier here before I went online, really when you're learning about the temple and the high priest clothes or the regular Kohanim, what they wore, Kohanim had 4 garments and the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, had an additional 4. It's always good to look at pictures. Really, you need a lot of diagrams. And the art scroll has a few, which is good. I don't know about the Koren. I don't know if they have any pictures. But yeah, you need pictures. Otherwise, it's very hard to visualize what we're talking about. But to start off with, the Parsha starts with a strange command that God commands Moshe. It says, V'ata tetzaveh, you shall command et b'nei Yisrael, the Jewish people, v'yichu elecha, and they shall bring to you Shem and Zayis, Zoch, pure olive oil, kosis lamor, crushed for illumination, la'alois ner tamid, to kindle a lamp continually. Yeah, this was referring to the candelabra or the menorah, which they lit every day in the temple. Shabbos, Yom Tov, every day of the year they lit the candelabra, they lit the menorah, and they lit all seven candles. Okay, so the Torah, the Parsha starts off with saying, "And now you shall command." Now, who is the you? So God is talking to you. Who is you? The Yata. Who is the you here? You can shout out. Who's God speaking to? You can have a guess. Who does God normally speak to? Moses, yeah. But normally, when God speaks to Moses, normally he says, or the Torah says, "Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe lemor." Yeah, that phrase repeats itself hundreds of times throughout the Torah. I'd have to count how many. Vayidaber Hashem, and God spoke to Moses, saying, yeah, and then it'll be gather the Jews or command them the following mitzvahs. For some reason, there's a change over here. It goes rogue, the Torah, so to speak. It doesn't say, and God spoke to Moses saying, etc. It says, V'ata, you. It doesn't mention Moshe's name. And actually, this is the first Parsha, Tetzaveh, and the only Parsha, from when Moses is introduced to us when he's first put in the basket, by his mother, Yocheved. She puts him in the basket, and Batia, Pharaoh's daughter, draws him out, and she calls him Moshe, because minamayim mishisiu, because I drew him out from the water. That's what Moshe means. I drew him out from the water, right? That is when Moshe is first mentioned. Okay, obviously when he's born, the Torah talks about when he was born, and she hid him away for a while, and eventually they had to put him in the basket. But from Parsha Shemot, where he's first mentioned, all the way through to when he dies at the end of the Torah, he's mentioned in every Parsha except this one. Yeah, his name is not mentioned. Rather, he is spoken to, addressed to as Be'atah, you Moses, but his name is not mentioned. Why? Why would his name not be mentioned in this parsha? It's not just random, especially since we've changed the way that God normally starts or communicates to Moshe. It's not saying that, and he's using this you shall command. So if you recall, after the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, God was prepared to destroy the entire Jewish people. And he said, I'll start again with you, Moshe. We'll start a new nation from you. And Moshe said famously, do not do that. If you do, if you threaten to wipe out the Jewish people, then erase me as well from your Torah. I and the Jewish people, we are one. You can't get rid of them without getting rid of me. That was what Moshe said. And eventually God said, okay, you know what? I'll forgive the Jews, give them another chance. And which is amazing, really, because Moshe.
You've got some chutzpah. Say that to God, right?
Yeah, I would have thought Moshe's like, I've had enough of these Jews. They've just seen the 10 plagues. Then the 10 commandments. I've gone up to receive the rest of the Torah, Mount Sinai. I turn my back for 5 minutes, and they're worshipping a golden calf. Like the sort of, what's the expression? The cat's away, and the mice play. Yeah, straight away. So Moshe would have been within his would have been fair enough for him to say, you know what, God, okay, get rid of them and let's start again. Let's try again. But Moshe said, no, I and the Jewish people, we are one. We are completely fused. If you want to get rid of them, you've got to get rid of me. And God was so impressed that Moshe was such a leader. He listened to Moshe and says, okay, I'll give the Jews another chance. So that's true leadership. And that links into this idea that it doesn't mention Moshe's name in this parsha, because although he said, erase me from your book, so God says, okay, I won't erase you. I'll keep the Jews, fine. But because he even said those words, Mecheni na, erase me from your book, it had like a residual impact that God had to sort of take his words a little bit at face value. So he erased his name from this parsha, took his name out of this parsha. Yeah? And that's God did, yeah. God says, okay, I'll listen to you, Moshe. I'm not going to take you out. I'm going to keep the Jews. You're an amazing leader. But because you said, erase me from your book, because you said those words, it has an impact of sorts. So I'll tell you what, I'll take you out of this week's Parsha Tetzaveh, which is a little bit unfair, you could say, because Moshe was born on Zayin Adar, the 7th of Adar, and he passed away also on the 7th of Adar, 120 years later, yeah? It's a big thing to die on your birthday, by the way, your Hebrew birthday, that is. It means that you've completed your time here, that you didn't waste any time, that you managed to use all your days perfectly. So the cycle comes around that you pass away on the day that you were born is considered very special. So that happened to Moshe. Now, we always read this parsha around Moshe's birthday. Today's Ches, yeah? Today's the 8th of Adar. Well, now it's the 9th because it's night time. So Moshe's birthday was 2 days ago, yeah? We always read this parsha around his birthday. So it's a bit of not a nice birthday present that God gave Moshe. He says, you know what, for your birthday, when we're going to be reading Tetzaveh, I'm going to take your name out. And I'm just going to call you. You. But there is a certain advantage to being called you, because a name, although a name is very important, that now we can distinguish everyone here, but there's millions of Garys in the world. I don't know about millions. There's lots of Davids, there's lots of Dannys, there's lots of Raffis. Yeah, lots of Moishas. I've been in a shul once where someone got called up and 2 people stood up. They have exactly the same name. Because they didn't look at the person, in a big shul, a few hundred people, it's possible you'll have Chaim Ben Yankel, you might have a few. So in one way, a name is very superficial. Lots of people have the same name. So it doesn't describe you. It doesn't describe your essence. But at the same time, say if someone passes out, says, well, I never trained as Hatzalah, the Jewish ambulance service in northwest London and Stamford Hill. But one of the Hatsola drivers told me that if someone's passed out, the first thing you do is, if you know their Hebrew name, you say their Hebrew name, or say their English name. You'll say their name, and it can sometimes wake up the person. Not always, but
They do that whenever you watch Casualty. They do the same thing.
say the name.
They say their name
Yeah,
immediately.
because
John,
it
can you
will
hear me? Can
it
you hear
will
me?
yeah, because it's the name, although it's superficial because other people have the same name as you.
Yeah.
It also is very connected to a person, yeah, because it's sort of inbuilt. That is my name. But if you just say you, now Moshe was such the most humble person that ever lived. That's the title he's given, which is some accolade, considering that he split the sea and received the Torah. But when God says you, Moshe, he's actually bringing out this point that Moshe was prepared to give his life away for the Jewish people. He is completely dedicated to the people. He has no sense of ego at all. He is the perfect leader. And when God decides that he wants to call you, he's sort of going past the name. He says, "You, Moshe, you're not an ego. You're not a person that holds on to covet, to honor. Yeah, I can call you because you are a servant of Hashem. You're the servant for the Jewish people. It's actually a big compliment that God called him Atah, you. So although you might think, oh, his name's not mentioned in this parsha, it almost sounds like a punishment. It's actually a big praise of Moshe that God can speak to him sort of almost face to face. You, Moshe, you. I don't even need to say your name. You. There's nothing there. You are a servant to me. You're a servant to the Jewish people, right?
So hang on. So the Torah was presented to the Jewish people via Moshe from God. Right?
Yeah.
And so we take it from this that in this particular parasha, that when it was presented to Moshe himself, God spoke to him, like you say, directly.
Yeah.
Whereas when we say and God spoke to Moses and said, it's almost like it's a recount. But this is a very, very direct thing. This is an extreme.
Very good. So
Do you see what I'm saying?
Gary's pointing out a very, very important thing here. So normally God will speak to Moshe directly, because it says God spoke to Moshe saying, and then he relays the command to the Jewish people. Here, God is telling Moshe, I need you to command the Jewish people as if you are giving the command from yourself, which is different. Can you hear the difference there? One is the rest of the Torah. Moshe just relays the command that God told him to relay. Here, God is telling Moshe, you must command the Jewish people yourself, this specific mitzvah, as we're going to see. What is this mitzvah that Moshe had the merit to command straight from himself, that he commanded the Jewish people? It's as follows. As we said earlier, command the children of Israel, they should take for you clear olive oil, crushed for illumination, to kindle a lamp continually, etc. in the tent of meeting outside the partition that is near the testimonial tablets. Yeah, because that's where the menorah was. Now, the strange thing is, who lit the menorah every day? Do you know who lit it every day?
Kohanim?
The Kohanim, yeah, and more specifically, which Kohen?
Gadol.
Kohen Gadol. Very good, and that was Aaron. So it's a bit of a strange commandment here that God is telling Moshe, you must command the Jewish people that they should bring to you olive oil to light the menorah. But Moshe's not the one that lights the menorah. He should have said, you bring the olive oil, tell the Jewish people to bring olive oil to Aaron, because he's the one that's going to light. For some reason, it says, you command the Jewish people, Moshe, to bring the oil to you. And obviously then he handed it over to Aaron. But why is it written in that way? Okay, and again, we're sort of only covering one verse here, but you can see how many questions there are, and it could be easily missed. So the idea is as follows.
I have another question.
Yes.
We said last week that they happened to be camped where the acacia wood was.
Yeah.
But if Joseph had planted on his way in, or that
Jacob brought down already from
Where did they get the olive oil from? Because they're going to need a lot of it.
From I guess you could ask the similar question came up, where did they all immerse in a mikveh at Mount Sinai? How come there must have been sort of natural bodies of water in a desert? But yeah, clearly there must have been when we think of a desert, we just think of there's nothing there. But there obviously must have been some trees nearby with olives. I don't know. And there must have been some body of water where they immersed. But acacia wood is very specific. That you're only going to get if you bring it with you.
You'll need a steady supply of water for that many
Yeah,
people.
you're saying and olive oil. Yeah. Olive oil. Yeah, I guess it would have whenever they came across it, had produced as much as they could to take it with. Yeah, good question. The oil. That'll be a question to I'll have a look afterwards. Where did they get all the oil from? It does say here in the art scroll, they shall take for you in the wilderness oil for the menorah could not be produced in the manner prescribed by the Torah below, because no olive trees were available. Okay, Lindsay, this is your question, yeah? Consequently, they had to use oil that had been prepared in Egypt. That oil had to be brought to Moses for his inspection to certify that it was of the necessary purity. So there you go. Obviously, they were prepared from beforehand, just like the acacia wood, also the oil.
Enough oil for 40 years?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. Although, yeah, I mean, they obviously did travel around over those 40 years. And don't forget, the spies actually went into the land of Israel, the story of the spies.
We are in the age of miracles.
Yeah, I mean, we try not to rely on miracles if we don't have to. If we can find an explanation that doesn't rely on a miracle. But yeah, they were traveling in the clouds of glory that flattened their way and protected them from missiles. And apparently the clothes grew with them. And they had Miriam as well that provided the water, and they had the manna that fell from heaven. So a bit of oil thrown into the mix, not a big deal. But we do still like to try and find a logical answer doesn't rely on miracles. They could have also topped up on oil when they went into the land of Israel, the spies. Yeah, remember they brought back massive fruits, and they brought fruit from the land. Potentially, they could have taken oil at that point as well. Okay. So to answer this question, why is Moshe specifically giving this command when normally he just relays the command? And also, why are they bringing the oil to Moses when he's not even lighting the menorah? Okay. So first of all, I want to point out the word mitzvah that we use, we translate normally as commandment, yeah. But really mitzvah, the root of the word is sav. Sav is to command, but sav also means a command. Really, also means commandment is when two things are fused together. So when we keep the commandments, we become connected with God. We form a connection. Yeah. So that's what mitzvah really means: to connect or to fuse together. So here, when we're saying Moshe commands the Jewish people, he, so to speak, is fusing himself with the Jewish people. Yeah. I mean, he was already the leader, and as we see in Ki Tisa, really what happened in Ki Tisa happens before this parsha, because the golden calf happened, and that we mentioned last week. And as a tikkun, to fix that sin, God says, okay, let's build the tabernacle. Let's build a house for me, and that will be an atonement for the sin of the golden calf. So really, these parshas are all out of order. But we mentioned last week also that God always creates the cure before the illness. So also Purim obviously is coming up. So the cure before the illness, you see it all over the place. But the fact that Esther was chosen to be queen and that Mordechai had saved the king's life, that all happened. And then Haman came on the scene. Right, the first time Haman is mentioned, a lot of things have already happened before he became prime minister. Mordechai saved the king's life, and Esther being chosen to be queen. So already God had positioned all these things that, okay, Haman's this massive anti-Semite, yeah, and he's going to come up with this decree to kill for a genocide. But already God had positioned that the queen was Jewish, and Mordechai had some credit that was saved up, which had been recorded in the Book of Chronicles, which would then later come to light just when they needed it. So the cure is always precedes the illness. Yeah. So also here, the how to build the temple, the Mishkan, we get all the mitzvahs, and it's all spoken about even before the sin of the golden calf, even though this was all the antidote to the sin of the golden calf. So really, these parshiot should have been later on, if that makes sense. Okay, but back to this, answer this question. So by Moshe having this merit, for him to actually give this commandment, so he's giving him a commandment, but we're saying this word commandment, savta, means to join, to fuse. He, through giving this commandment, fuses himself with the Jewish people, and which is fair because he was prepared to give his life for the Jewish people. Now, by him, God giving him this opportunity to give the Jews a commandment himself, obviously God told him what to say, but Moshe is the one that still has to do the commanding. He's fusing himself with the Jewish people. He becomes a proper leader in that way that not only is he selfless and he's prepared to have self-sacrifice for the Jews, now the Jewish people and Moshe become one. And that's why Moshe gives the command. Now, why did they bring the olive oil to Moshe? Because Aaron's job was to light the menorah. He's a lamplighter, yeah? So in a spiritual sense, every Jew is a light. Every Jew has a soul. Every soul is a light. So as we say, Mishle, Ner Hashem, Nishmas Adam. The candle of the soul of man is the candle of God. So I've got the translation right here. Yeah, the soul of man, rather, is the candle of God. That's what it says in Proverbs. So our soul is a lamp lit by God. Yeah, he gives us a soul, and it's like God lights a lamp inside of each one of us, and every Jew has a soul, right? This special soul. So Aaron's job was to light up the souls, obviously light the menorah, that's the basic understanding, but his job was also to inspire the Jewish people. He offered sacrifices on their behalf. As we mentioned, also the lamb in the morning, the lamb in the afternoon, the incense, the menorah. The menorah he was inspiring the Jewish people. But you can only inspire someone that wants to be inspired. Yeah, that makes sense. Someone that, yeah, someone that wants to is already halfway there. You know, they're prepared to listen, or they want to come and learn. To inspire someone that's not interested is quite difficult. So Aaron would only have the ability to inspire someone that was already willing to be inspired. He can light a lamp, but he needs a lamp to start with. If there's no lamp there, there's no oil there, he's going to struggle. Moshe gave Aaron the power, so to speak. He gave him the inspiration that he was even able to inspire. Aaron was even able to inspire those that weren't looking for inspiration. Yeah, and that's why the Jewish people brought the oil to Moshe first. And then Moshe then gave it to Aaron. So Moshe was basically giving Aaron a boost, saying, when you light the menorah, or when you inspire the Jews as their high priest, and as you bring them close to God, I'm giving you the ability to even inspire those that seem very far off, that don't seem like they have a lamp at all. Okay, so that answers both questions. Why Moshe specifically gives this commandment? Because it's not just a commandment; it's a fusion. He's fusing himself to the Jewish people through this commandment. And the oil is brought to Moshe specifically, and then he gives it to Aaron, so that Aaron then has this extra koyach, this extra strength to inspire every Jew, even those that don't have the lamp to start with, that don't seem to want to be connected. Okay, so that's why we divert from the regular Vayedaber Hashem Moshe lemor. There's not just a case that Moshe's name is erased because he said, erase me from your book, and this is like a residual effect of it. It's actually much more than that, that Moshe reaches this level of being completely beyond the name. He is completely selfless, and because he reached that level, God rewarded him or gave him this ability to give this commandment to the Jewish people, where he becomes one with the Jewish people. And he was the Nasi, he was the leader of the entire Jewish people. And as we refer to him as Moshe Rabbeinu. And since Moshe lived, there's never been a Moshe, from Moshe onwards, there was never another leader like Moshe. He was unique in his leadership. It wasn't easy for him either. It's not like he got a lot of credit from the Jews. They were always moaning and complaining, and then for the slight moment that he lost his temper, he wasn't allowed to finish the job which he so desired, which was to bring the Jews to Israel, and he had to leave that to Joshua. Okay, a few more ideas. Now we've got past the first verse. Right. So interesting about the high priest's garments. We've got to look at this very quickly. So a regular priest wore a pair of trousers called miknasayim, a special tunic called a cotonet, which was like made of checkered white linen. Then they all got to wear a sash that went around the white shirt. This sash was very long, 32 amos, which is about 16 meters of material. Yeah, roughly, let's say 15 meters. So imagine a 15-meter long sash. So that's they would wrap that around themselves before. And the idea of being so long is that they would meditate and contemplate before who they were going to serve, in the temple, before God, where God's presence was very much revealed and illuminated the whole place. So they had to really prepare themselves for that experience. That's why the sash was very long. It wasn't because they were very fat. And that's one of the reasons why people have a custom to wear a garter, like a little string around. As you see, I wear one. It's not because I'm a black belt. Yeah. Okay.
Black belt rapper.
I thought that was supposed to split diet.
Oh, very good. Danny's on the ball. So another reason of wearing a belt, really every man should wear trousers that don't fall down when you pray. Yeah. Because A, for modesty, but also you want to separate your brain and your heart, which you need for praying, from the bottom half of your body, which you don't need when you pray. Yeah. So it's almost like you're sanctifying, or you're engaging your brain and your heart when you pray, and by wearing a belt that holds your trousers up, that's fulfills that mitzvah. But some people also wear the additional gartel to remind us of what the priests used to do. So those are the four, and a hat. That's what every Kohen used to wear. Now the high priest got to wear an additional 4 garments. He wore a ma'il, like a nice coat, and on top of the ma'il he wore an ephod, an apron. And on the apron he had the bling bling, the 12 stones, 12 special gems, and he also had an additional 2 stones on his shoulders. And I believe they were of. There's a picture in here. I believe they were gold. Let's have a look. The additional 2 onyx stones.
Yeah, 2 gold settings.
With 2 gold settings.
Right.
Right. I think they translate Avnei Shem as onyx. It's a type of precious stone. And on those 2 on his shoulders, they had 6 tribes on one, 6 tribes on the other, and exactly 25 letters on each, which is pretty cool that the 6 tribes on each shoulder added up to 25 letters each. And then he had the breastplates with the 12 special stones, one for each tribe. And it was 3 in a row and 4 rows. So you had, and it went from the firstborn through. So Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Don. He was after Don, Naphtali. Yeah, and on the second set, Gad, Asher, Yisachar, Zvulun, Yosef, and Binyamin. Now, every letter of the alphabet needed to be included on this special choshen, the breastplate, because the high priest would ask it questions. Yeah, whether they should go into battle or not, whether they should
Ask the breastplate questions.
They would ask Hashem, but they would ask the breastplate. I should mention that inserted underneath the 12 special stones, there was like a little slip where they put in God's name.
Like the kotel.
What's that?
Like the kotel putting in.
Oh, the kotel, yeah. So there's special parchment with God's special name on.
That's where that tradition.
Oh, I see. That's more like just they want to put in a message, so they'll just find any hole or any crevice to put the. Yeah. You're basically asking God. Yeah. But here it lit up. There was a piece of parchment with God's name, Yud Hey Vav and Hey, that was put in underneath the special stones. They would ask, the high priest would ask it questions whether they should go into war or not, questions of national security, and then the stones, every letter was covered, and the letters would light up. Then the high priest would have to then decipher the letters because they were all jumbled up. Yeah.
Don't be technology or something that's I'm sorry to say this, it sounds like where they might have got the idea for a Ouija board from.
Now I must point out, not all the letters of the alphabet are included in the 12 tribes. Yeah, there are some lists missing. So Abraham, to cover the letters that were missing, they added on Reuven's stone Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, the 3 forefathers, and on the last stone Binyamin, they added the 2 words Shivtei Yeshurun, the tribes of Yeshurun, which is another way we describe Yeshurun, from the word Yashar, meaning straight, the upright, straight people. And that way, all the letters were covered. So when they would ask it a question, all the different letters would light up. The high priest would then have to see the letters and then formulate it into an answer. And hopefully got it right. Normally he would get it right. There was a time he got it wrong. There was a high priest called Eli. We read this Haftorah Rosh Hashanah. Hannah came to the temple. She didn't have any children. She was very upset. And she started praying. And Eli, the high priest, thought she was drunk because she prayed in a very strange way. It wasn't regular. She prayed very quietly, but she was moving her lips, but not making any noise. In the end, that's how we pray. We learned from her how to pray. So he looked at his Kloshen, his breastplate, and the letters Shin, Chaf, Resh, and Hey lit up. So he just thought, oh, it says Shikara. She's drunk, which means she's drunk. So he looked at it and was like, oh, this woman is drunk. So he said, what are you doing? Yeah. And she said, no, I'm not drunk. I'm pouring out my heart. And then he realized I read the letters wrong. I should have rearranged them to read Kashera, which means she is kosher. Yeah, she is praying correctly. Yeah. Yeah, because we read this Haftorah Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, okay.
So it's a story,
Okay.
the Haftorah story.
Spoken about it around.
Probably mentioned it, yeah.
Right.
But it's the idea of all the letters lighting up on the high priest is
Lighting the letters up. That's God.
that's God doing that, yeah. Yeah. He would light up the letters on the stones. Yeah, it was amazing. Pretty cool. And if a certain tribe had sinned, their stone would go dim. It would like turn down the light. So there was once a time where someone stole something that they shouldn't have stolen, and it was from the tribe of Yehuda. Yehuda's stone went dim, and they realized someone from Yehuda has stolen this booty of wool, which they shouldn't have stolen. And they cast lots to figure out who it was in Yehuda's tribe, a person called Achan. And they found him, and he was put to death.
I've never heard this aspect, but like, so when that stopped, when we lost.
When the first temple was destroyed,
there was no more light.
it didn't work anymore. It stopped working, which is sad.
Something that's like this breastplate never been found or anything like that. That's like,
Yeah, David asked earlier, where did it end up? We know that the ark was hidden subterranean, like underneath the temple now. Whether they put the high priests, and they still had the Urim V'Tumim during the second temple as well, but it just didn't work like it used to. The high priest still had to wear it. It was part of his 8 garments. He had to wear it. And if he wasn't wearing one of his 8 garments, it was a death penalty. It was very serious. But it just didn't work in that way.
why didn't it work anymore?
Well, basically, after the destruction of the first temple, the holiness and God's presence never rested on the temple again properly like it did in the first temple.
Right.
Prophecy also ended around, but that was the second temple. Prophecy ended as well.
When we get third temple.
Third time lucky, yeah, it'll all be back. The
From what I
light show
read,
will be
they
back.
used to bribe their way to being the high priest.
Yeah, Lindsay's right. Yeah, in the second temple era, people would pay to be high priest, so they weren't even Kohanim. Yeah.
Oh, right. So it was just like, right. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's
But
like,
that was an example to show you how far it had fallen from the first
Yeah.
temple. First temple, it all worked, and the ark was there. Second temple, no ark. The Urim and Thummim didn't work,
right, it's just-
and prophecy stopped,
right.
and it all fell apart.
When
And
you
now,
say prophecy stopped,
and here we are.
do you mean that there were no more prophecies written down?
There's no more prophets. I think the last prophet was Malachi, who some people say was Ezra. Was the last prophet. I have to check. Yeah, Ezra or Malachi was the last prophet.
Can I ask you my perennial question on this, Cedra,
Yes.
about shatnez? It
Oh,
seems
yeah.
to me the high priest is wearing linen and wool mixed together.
Very good. Very
And we're
good.
not supposed to.
Yeah, we don't wear wool and linen. Yeah, so you buy a nice suit that's not just polyester. It's got either wool or linen in it. You should get it checked, because if it's got wool, it might have linen.
You don't wear wool and linen together, or you don't wear wool and linen
Wool and linen together, yeah.
so you can't wear.
Oh yeah, no, you can wear linen socks and
But
a
not mixed.
not mixed in the same
You can't
garment.
wear wool and, you can wear woolly jumper and linen trousers.
Yeah.
You can't wear wool and
But-
woolly linen trousers.
Correct.
But here, the high priest clothes, the ephod, had a mixture of wool and linen. What's going on? Yeah. Normally you can't put them together. But if you have a positive mitzvah to wear it, then it's okay. Here's the only exception.
No,
And you have the
the
positive
only
mitzvah and
thing
the
I-
negative mitzvah. The positive one overrides the negative, which
The
is
only,
what
the only thing that I wanted to suggest was because they say there's no reason for not wearing wool and linen together. This is just something that you accept. But maybe it's because we shouldn't ape the high priest.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it is a chok. Yeah, it's another like Lindsay said, it's one of these mitzvahs that has no reason. Wool and linen, meat and milk. I know people say it's for health reasons, but ultimately, the laws of kashrus, what you can and can't eat, is just God says, and there's not really a reason. Not a reason like mitzvahs of not murdering or not stealing or returning lost objects. You know, the laws that contribute to a civil society. So Lindsay's suggesting that not wearing wool and linen together also it's a bit like you're overstepping your mark because you're behaving like the high priest, you know, when he wore wool and linen in the same garment, and
The high priest did.
he did, and you're not. Yeah, I like that, Lindsay. Okay, 30. We've gone over half an hour. That's one of the main attractions of this year, that it's meant to be short. Have a good one. Thanks for joining. And
Thanks very much, Rob.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Rabbi. Nice to see you, Nick.
You too, Lindsay. Hope everyone's well.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. We are.
good night.
Because of Harvey,
For Harvey, yeah.
Exactly.
the Shama.
Amen. Chaim.
L'chaim, everyone.